Hey, what's up guys? So I just wanted to talk briefly about this new game I'm currently playing called Alice Fiction. It's a new gacha game published by Wonder Planet, who's also involved with games like Konosuba Fantastic Days and Crash Fever. To give you the short answer, I think it's definitely worth you trying for a day or two to see whether or not you like it. So far it's a game with plenty of likable waifus and fantastic music. The way I'm seeing the game now, it's a fresh game that has a decent amount of potential, but we'll see how the game holds up in a few months from now, whether it'll be able to add any entertaining content to its currently average launch. Anyways, what drew me to this game was its art style. The few screenshots of the game in the App Store portrayed anime waifus with uniquely styled clothing. Imagine giving waifus amazing drip along with futuristic weapons and settings makes for a really enticing landscape, for me at least. Not to mention the colors were just so vibrant and colorful, makes for a very inviting and compelling glimpse. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I skipped a lot of the initial story, so I won't be able to really comment on that, but at the very least, the character designs and presentation of everything was very good. The game allowed you to do infinite rerolls upon creating an account, which was very nice. However, I just played out whatever characters I had received initially. Fortunately, they were pretty decent. The very next thing I did as someone who's lazy was just auto through most of the story mode. The combat uses a gem matching mechanic like you see in many puzzle games. The more gems you match, the more bonuses and damage you'll perform. But of course, there may be times where you may want to manually control the battle, but for the most part you can auto everything, at least from the time I've been playing this game. This game can get highly complex depending on how much you care. There's multiple classes of attackers, each with their own elemental and attack type. For classes, you have your usual archetypes like an attacker, buffer, debuffer, and healer to name a few. For elements, you have the common elements such as water, fire, wood, earth, light, and dark. The different types of attacks include physical attacks and special attacks. There's lots to play around with here, and I like the flexibility in making whatever kind of team you want. For me, I just stick with a relatively balanced team, which includes a debuffer or tank, 2 main damage dealers, and a healer, and I have found this to be fairly effective. With combat and game mechanics aside, how are the characters and what else is there to consider in the game? Right off the bat, there's a plethora of different waifus to choose from and their viability varies. However, know that some 2-star characters can be very viable, so it's not necessarily a bad thing if you don't have all 3-star characters right off the bat. They are all vastly different in design from one another, so I'm confident there'll be a waifu for every one of you. Once we have our team of waifus or husbandos assembled, what is there to do? Well, currently there's not a whole lot to do in my opinion, but that could just be because the game is still very new, so I'll give the developers a break here. The story mode acts just like most gacha games. You have a series of levels and chapters, all with an option to do a harder difficulty for better rewards. After a few levels, you'll encounter a boss level which is usually pretty easy to beat but difficult to 3-star, which requires nobody dying on your team. Aside from that, you have your typical game modes like PvP Arena, event missions, and separate missions that can give additional EXP resources and currency, but with a limited number of attempts each day. Just like Fate Grand Order if you ever played that. There's also guilds, or in this game, teams, but currently there's not much you can really do with them, but there will be team hunts in the future. Now, starting the game brand new, it will feel like there's tons to do, waifus to collect, and missions to accomplish, but once you've reached the end of the current story and exhaust all your stamina, there's not really much you can do. Assuming you have tons of stamina, you can literally use all of it in a single instance by skipping a level however many times you want, whereas with most other gacha games, you usually auto one at a time. Now, I know every gacha game has the common complaint of stamina, but for some reason it just saddens me in this game that stamina is exhausted so quickly. The game is beautiful, the music is bopping, and you really just want to develop your team of waifus as quickly as you can, but you're so quickly gated by stamina, it's not even funny. On the bright side, this makes the game a good side game if you're only looking to jump in, spend a short time doing your dailies, and then sign off for the day. It's entertaining just watching your team perform their overly flashy skills, and with each successful mission, grow both in strength and in their bond. As for how the gacha rates are, I think they're pretty normal and fair. You're able to get a few 3-star characters right off the bat, and that's all you really need for the most part. You do get a generous chunk of gems in the beginning, but this quickly starts to diminish as you play the game longer. If you started at launch, you're blessed to receive tons of quartz due to how frequent the developers had to do maintenances in order to fix bugs. Overall, here are my thoughts. I think the game has lots of potential, but right now the game is lacking in some content, but again, that could just be because it's brand spanking new. The character designs, game mechanics, music, everything is just perfectly fine. I don't really see any major flaws or shortcuts in those categories. It's relaxing to play on auto, sit back, and enjoy the flashy gameplay. The game is pretty pay to win, as major progress relies heavily on stamina, which can be bought with paid currency. As a result, progress starts to get pretty slow in the mid game, as using up all your stamina only fills up a small portion of your experience bar, and your player level dictates the maximum level of your characters. Time will only tell if there will be any changes to how the system works, but knowing that there are new game modes and team hunts on the horizon has me on the edge of my seat wanting more, and I really hope the developers deliver. That concludes my initial thoughts on Alice Fiction. Let me know if there's anything that catches your eye, maybe you've played it and had different thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.